presidential candidate of the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has resumed his campaign tour of that region. He suspended his campaign last week, as you know, following news of the passing of former President Jerry John Rawlings. Prior to the suspension of his campaign, the NDC presidential candidate was given a rousing welcome in many constituencies when he began a 6-day campaign tour of the Ashanti region last week. Maxwell Akpakpa is embedded with the team. He joins us via Zoom. Maxwell, tell us about the supporters who gathered at the Mickling Hotel where the former president was meeting party officials.
Well, quite a number of them came there, although it was not open to the press and then to all the supporters. Many of them just came around to hang around and to welcome the presidential candidate to the Ashanti region. Now, what we're actually seeing is that the campaign itself, displays the NDC constituency. That is where what we, in the Ashanti region, and what we say now, you'll be compelled to say that, okay, this one is more on the quiet, and some persons have been speaking to, tell me that it's out of respect for the founder of the party, Jerry John Rawlings, and then also because he has been here already, it's good that it's not on the quiet. But if you come here to the ground, here at the new Edubiase constituency, it doesn't look like it is on the quiet at all, because we've seen hundreds of supporters gathered here, many of them clad in party colors, who were already waiting here hours, just waiting for the NDC presidential candidate. He is sitting here at this point, and he just went round to exchange pleasantries with the chiefs and people who have gathered here. He's seated and is waiting to be given the opportunity, to interact with the many people who, have gathered here. But some of the NDC supporters who I spoke to at the Mickling Hotel, many of them are convinced that the NDC will make major inroads in the MPP stronghold. They say that many of the promises that they were told have not been fulfilled by the new Patriotic Party. Some of them actually tell me that they feel that the NPP has become complacent in the Ashanti region because they feel it is their stronghold, and they think that it is about time that change. So they tell me that they are very confident that the NDC, would come out of this election, the 2020 election, with some shocking results from the Ashanti region. But if you're talking about the people who are seen here on the campaign field, here at the new Edubiase constituency, I've seen the chief, the former chief of staff, Julius Deborah, is here. I've also seen former NDC flag bearer aspirant, who is now the campaign manager, Joshua Alabi. He's also here. John Mahama himself is here. Earlier in the day, I actually saw a party chairman of the NDC, Samuel Akufo-Addo, who is also on the ground, together with other, party officials. All of them poised, for action. So if you come here, all is set here at the first port of call for John Mahama. From here, you'll be heading to Adanse Asokwa constituency. Later in the evening, there will be a dab of chiefs and people of the Jesu, where we'll be meeting some chief imams and the people, and then interact with them to propagate the NDC.
Akba is our correspondent embedded with the Mahama team, and he was bringing us that update from the former president's campaign in New Edubiase in the Ashanti region. Let's turn our attention on the president and presidential candidate for the MPP, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He is expected to also get back on the campaign trail, beginning from the Volta region. Presidential correspondent Elton Brobe will be with him, and he joins us on Zoom to tell us what to expect of the president's campaign as he resumes the campaign. Well, Elton, which Volta region town will the president be starting from? We understand that he's starting tomorrow. Elton, if you can unmute your microphone, we can't hear you. So, good. Tell us where the president is starting off from as he resumes his campaign tomorrow.
So per the program we have, President Akufo-Addo is expected to start from Alabanyo. The main concentration is the Hohoe constituency, where John Pitame, the energy minister, is contesting the seat on the ticket of the MPP. And indication we are getting is that he's worked so hard, and he's hoping that for the first time in the history or in the annals of Ghana politics, somebody from the MPP would emerge victorious in the Hohoe constituency seat, even though if you look at the numbers, it doesn't look like it is going to be a very easy match for Mr. Pitame, who is coming up against the NDC's candidate in the constituency, Professor Margaret Kweku, who is 57 years old. So this is for the program as we have been given Alabanyo, and then the president will move to commission a mini hydro also at Alabanyo, and then from Alabanyo we'll move to Hohoe. He will inspect ongoing construction of a sports stadium, and then we'll meet with chiefs and religious leaders at St. Francis Xavier at also Hohoe, and then later address residents of Hohoe at the RC Park. That will be a rally to wrap up his tour of the Volta region. From what we have, this is just the only program for the Volta region, after which we will then move to the Eastern region for the next 2 days, that is Sunday and Monday, come back to Greater Accra for 2 days, and then head to the Central, Western, and then to the Ashanti region, and then come back again to the Greater Accra region to wrap it up between the 2nd and the 5th of September of December 2020. My information is that Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bami are also taking charge of the other region from the Bornahafo all the way up to the northern region. So, however, we are at the Jubilee House. We are all getting set to leave Accra for the Volta region. And then exactly 9 a.m. tomorrow, the campaign will officially resume in the Volta region, specifically Hohoe, because the concentration here is that John Pitame, the energy minister, is so bent on winning the seat for the first time for the MPP, and that's how come there appears to be so much concentration as far as Hohoe is concerned.
All right, many thanks. Elton John Brobe is our presidential correspondent, and he'll be with Nana Akufo-Addo's team as they tour those areas. As you heard him say, they will be starting off from the Volta region tomorrow. Now, flag bearer of the Ghana Union Movement, Christian Kwabena Andrews, also known as Sofo Bosom, has taken his tour to the Ashanti region. He's expected to meet some chiefs and party officials there. He's already toured parts of the Eastern region and the Greater Accra region. He joins us via Zoom with how his campaign has been going. Thank you for your time, Sofo Bosom, I beg your pardon. What has been the central message during your tours? Unfortunately, we don't have Sofo Bosom, who is the flag bearer of the Ghana Union Movement, GUM as it's called. We'll get back to him as and when we get him back on Zoom. Now, election materials for the Upper East region arrived Friday in Bolgatanga. In the front yard of the regional police headquarters, political party representatives came to cross-check the accuracy of the details before the materials are stored ahead of the special voting and election day. Albert Sori joins us from Bolgatanga with an update. Albert, what more can you report? Hello, Albert, if you can hear me, what more can you report on this update that we're getting that the Electoral Commission has dispatched electoral materials to Bolgatanga? Unfortunately, we don't have Albert on the line. We're having some technical issues. We'll resolve that. But I do understand that we have the flag bearer of the Ghana Union Movement joining us right now. Many thanks for your time. I was asking what the central message, your central message has been during your campaign tours. Hello, Mr. Andrews, if you could kindly unmute your microphone. We can't hear you.
Yes.
Good.
Can you hear me now?
Very clear.
Better. Our central message is to give employment to the people of this very country, especially the youths that are roaming about, just to revive the factories of Nkrumah, we want to bring back the state-owned enterprises so that the people in the country will get a fine employment. That's our central message.
So your focus has been on creating, jobs. And as you say, addressing the unemployment situation. So what specifically have you been telling the people, particularly the youth?
To revive the old factory that Nkrumah left, which has been abandoned in the bushes. And especially the MPP and NDC, they are believing in private enterprises. Though we believe in private support, but we want government to have its own state enterprises so that it can survive some of them. And the private enterprises too can join us. But for government to leave everything in the private sector, we don't support that very idea. So our main aim is to bring back certain factories, which is sugar factory, Commander Sugar Factory, Aveime, Kadimachis Factory, and the food compress and the others, tomato factories, so that we can start something and the youth can be employed.
So if I understand you correctly, you're hoping to revive the defunct state factories in order to create employment. But how have the people that you've been selling this message to, how have they been reacting to this assurance?
Oh, they are happy to move with me. They're happy to vote for GUM to come to power because they don't have anything to do. Most of them are just roaming about in the streets. They have nothing. So they have accepted to vote for GUM. That is why wherever I go, I don't bash people, but people are following us all over because they know their hope is in GUM.
Right. We understand that you've resumed your campaign in the Ashanti region. We know that that is the stronghold of the governing MPP. What are your chances there in the Ashanti region? How much of the votes are you hoping to clinch?
We hope definitely, at least, if anything at all, we can get a 50% of Ashanti votes. I'm Ashanti, and besides that, my main agenda is to revive the shoe factory, which is in the Ashanti region, and the jute factory, which can give employment to the people in Ashanti. It is not just by saying this is my stronghold. It's my stronghold. Come out to tell you this is a stronghold of your MPP. We have given the people what we can do for them. So most of them are following us, and definitely we are going to get a vote over here.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. That's a flag bearer of the Ghana Union Movement there speaking to us as he resumes his tour of the Ashanti region. Let's go back to our earlier story of electoral materials for the Upper East region having arrived earlier today in Bolgatanga. Correspondent Albert Sori was there. He joins us on the line. What other information can you give us with regards to the dispatching of these electoral materials there?
Yes, Araba. So the electoral materials arrived this morning between the hours of 9 and 10 a.m. So the Regional Electoral Commission Directorate asked the political parties to send representatives to cross-check for details like spellings of names, and also to check for whether the number of electoral materials that have been brought correspond to the number of voters we have in the Upper East region. So that is what they have been doing since morning. If you see the pictures we have, those bags lying down there contain the electoral materials. There are 178 of these bags. And so we were talking to the political party representatives from the NDC, the MPP as well. There were some representatives from the CPP and PNC all checking to make sure that information about their candidates, both for presidential and parliamentary, are accurate. So that's what they've been doing this morning. We've spoken to the Deputy Regional Electoral Commission Director, and he told us there hasn't been any problem. So right now they're just wrapping up. When we spoke to the political party representatives, they said that it's difficult to check through all the materials in the bag to be sure, but they are satisfied with the process. So the items are now being stored at the headquarters of the Ghana Police Service here in Bolgatanga.
All right, many thanks, Upper East regional correspondent Albert Sorry there. Let's stay in the Upper East region because residents of Sandema in the Bulsa North District are concerned about the apparent lack of resources for the police there to permanently deal with the recent spate of armed robbery in the area. Between the months of August and November this year, there's been at least 4 armed robbery attacks. The victims include some mobile money vendors and the Church of Pentecost, which was also attacked less than 2 weeks ago. And the Sunday, armed robbers took away the offering for that day. As part of the JoyNews series, looking at security in our communities ahead of the elections, Upper East regional correspondent Albert Sorry visited Sandema and has come through with this report.
The spate of armed robbery attacks here in Sandema have become a source of worry for many people in this town.
We can't even work after 7 because of the robbers. The little money you get, they'll rob you.
These days, the armed robbery case here is very serious. And we as business women, we suffer. We can't travel. And anytime we are traveling and coming to Sandema, and it's around 5, we have to sleep in Bolga or Navrongo before. The next day, then we come.
Joseph Apawi, a mobile money vendor here in Sandema, is one of the victims of armed robbery. On the 14th of August this year, while on the way home from work, 4 men armed with a gun attacked him and took away his money, his motorcycle, and other valuable items.
I closed from work around 6:30 and I was on my way going home. I was almost getting to the house and there were 4 armed robbers with a gun. So they just stopped me on the way and pointed the gun on me and told me to lie down. I lay down and they collected my bag with the money, removed all my phones, took my Honda motorbike and went away with it.
Less than a month later, Theophilus Isaka, also a mobile money vendor here in Sandema, was attacked in a similar manner.
On the 5th of last month, October, 5th October. It was around 9 going. I closed from work and I was going to the house. Then 2 guys came with a torchlight and a gun and a cutlass. They were fully masked and they were wearing overall jackets and then the trousers all were black. Then they asked me to lie down. I lie down and then one having the cutlass used it and hit on my head. Then it cuts me. Then the gunman told me I shouldn't worry. I should just give them the bag. Then I hand over the bag to them. They took all my phones on my pocket and then my wallet. And then they asked me to run. My bag, there was a cash sum of 3,008 and then 11 mobile phones inside the bag.
However, one armed robbery incident that has left many residents here in Sandema in shock was a broad daylight attack on the Church of Pentecost only 2 Sundays ago.
I think we had closed from service, and so most of the congregants had gone. But the one who counts the church's money was seated at this corner of the church. So I also came, and then whilst we were talking on the issue she wanted to discuss with me, 2 young men came into the church whilst we were talking. The top apparel they were wearing was black. So initially we thought that there were police officers who had come to make some inquiries about the protocols of the coronavirus. So the other one, who had a gun with him, cocked the gun, and then he asked us to lie flat on the floor. Then they took the monies that were on the table with a bowl. There was also a bowl that the offerings were inside.
So let's stay on the issue of security in this area in the Bulsa North constituency. For a while, I'm joined on the line by parliamentary candidate for that area for the NDC, James Agalga. We did try to reach out to the MPP's James Maurice Abakisi, but we're unable to reach him. and we've been calling him. As and when we reach him, we will speak to him. But Mr. Algalga is on the line with us. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Algalga. So what could be the reasons behind these armed robbery attacks that we're seeing? Because we understand that there were similar robberies last year in broad daylight.
Well, Araba, first of all, we would have to understand that the police in Sandema are not visible at all. And the lack of police visibility and accessibility, in my estimation, is probably the cause of the upsurge in the commission of crime in the district. When I say police visibility, we have to understand that in terms of the numbers of police personnel deployed or stationed to work in the Sandema District Police Command, which stretches from the Bulta North District and includes the Bulta South District, then you would understand why there's probably an upsurge in crime. Previously, we used to have 3 operational vehicles at the disposal of the Sandema District Police Command. Now we can boast of only 1. So you can imagine that actually derails the effort of the police to make themselves visible and accessible to the general public and the process curb the commission of crime. That is the first factor. Secondly, I think that it's a nationwide crisis. It's a nationwide crisis. The police itself is grappling with a problem whereby people who are gifted in terms of police operation have been pushed into the background. That is a fact we cannot run away from. And so, right from the national headquarters, the regional level to the district level, we are grappling with that issue. So
Mr. Algalga, just explain to that. Mr. Algalga, explain that to us a bit, because I don't quite understand what you're getting at. Yes, are you saying that there are people
I'm making is that we have some individuals in the police hierarchy, the command, who are gifted in terms of operation. Today, the overwhelming majority of them have simply been swept or kept in positions where they are very distant or remote from police operation. I can give you numerous examples. I mean, in the past, we had crack police commanders like the likes of Kofi Boache, the likes of Christian Yohunu, who in the past received awards for the effort they put in terms of police operations and the results they achieved. Today, all these individuals are still in the police service, but they are not being used.
So you're saying that these people have the operational expertise, and yet they've been pushed, they've been sidelined. Absolutely. And that is what is accounting for the increasing crime rate you're seeing? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, across the country, across the length and breadth of the country. The third factor is that I think that the police are simply not motivated to want to make sacrifices that they made in the past. They are not motivated well enough. And I'll give you an example. You have the police who come out and work under very harrowing conditions. And yet, at some point, they were simply threatened with a withdrawal from the captivity pension scheme. We raised the red flags at the time. A cabinet decision was taken to that effect, and that decision was communicated by the Deputy Minister for Employment. He openly declared that the police would be migrated from the captivity pension scheme onto the state pension scheme. When we raised red flags, we were given the assurance. The Interior Minister came out and rubbished our claims at the time. Then followed by the Information Minister, who then gave the assurance that nothing of the sort was going to happen and that an amendment was going to be introduced. However, as we speak, Parliament has risen. Parliament would only reconvene for its own dissolution. That amendment was never brought before Parliament for consideration. So clearly, when we expressed worries about the way and manner the police were being treated, and government came out and rubbished our claim, today we have been vindicated. So morale amongst the police, has been dampened. It is at its lowest.
We'll come back to you, Mr. Agalga, but we've been joined on the line by James Maurice Abakisi. He's the NPP's parliamentary candidate. Interesting that you both share the same name, James. But Mr. Abakisi, thank you for your time. Can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Abakisi.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good. So Mr. Agalga points to 3 reasons he thinks there's a surge in crime in the Upper East region and in Sandema particularly, and generally across the country. He points to lack of morale within the police service. He points to people with expertise who've been pushed aside. He also points to the fact that the police service is ill-resourced. What, in your opinion, accounts for the surge in the crime rate there?
Well, thank you, Araba, for your time. Thanks for having me. I think that the crime rate has not begun today. It began several years ago. I think in 2013-14, thereabout, we have had robberies in one town we call Fumbisi, that's Bulsa South. It was daytime robberies. And then along the road, from Fumbisi to Sandema, it's a market town, and the robberies continued thereabout. There was one time somebody was even killed along that. So it didn't actually start today. And talking about police morale, I think let's bring it down to our own setting. What has happened over time to address this issue? Basically, I think that is when the MPP came that they resourced the police with a vehicle, with the police, a new police station. Another one is being built at Pichuga. I think that's where our MP comes from. And I think that looking at resourcing the police, I think it's a factor. It has been bad over time, right? But now I think MPP has given them a vehicle. They are building a new police post. They are putting up another one. And we ourselves, what are we doing on the ground here? From Sandema to Chuchuga, we've been having robberies along that side. And I think that what we needed to do is just to help the police to establish some posts so that they can patrol, resource them with some vehicles, maybe perhaps motorbikes and so on. I think over time these things are not happening. That's why we are having a surge in crime. And I also think that we also need to step up some education of our citizens to give them basic tips in security.
Okay.
And then encourage them to help the police with information. So we have the miscreants, the criminals, and so on. They are living with us. The last time we've had a robbery in a certain church, they were able to identify some of the people. And I think the police, they are doing so well in with regards to that case. So I think that we ourselves also need to partake in the security arrangement of our setting.
Right, okay. So let's get to the issue of security ahead of the polls. Now, we understand that within the Upper East region alone, there are about 345 hotspots. That's what the police has identified. 345 hotspots in the Upper East region alone. And with the police being so ill-resourced, how is that going to... what effect would that have on the elections coming up?
Well, I don't think we are trying to link the robbery cases to the election. I think these are two independent issues.
No. I'm talking about the fact that the police has identified 345 hotspots within the Upper East region alone. I'm not sure if Sandema is one of them, but I'm talking about as we have less than 2 weeks, or about 2 weeks, 17 days to the election. So I'm asking about whether the assurances that the police service has given you ahead of the election, you're comfortable with that? Are you comfortable with the security situation ahead of the polls on December 7?
Yes, well, thank you very much. I can't talk for the whole of South-East. I can talk for Bulsa North constituency.
Right.
For the Bulsa North constituency, I think both of us have committed ourselves to a peaceful election. So far, it's been good. I think my colleague, is doing a gentle campaign. He's not using any rough language. It is the same with me. And I think that it is going down well with our people. And we've managed to contain our people. We've not had any incidences, electoral-related incidences so far. And the police have organized a number of peace sessions with us, and we've pledged our commitment to peace and so on. So we have contained our supporters up to now. So I don't foresee anything happening. Okay. And we are cooperating with the police.
Let me put that same question to Mr. Agalga. Let me put that same question to Mr. Agalga. Mr. Agalga, are you satisfied with the security measures put in place ahead of the elections?
Yes, Araba. First of all, I want to make a quick response to what my colleague said in his earlier remarks, that they have done a lot in terms of resourcing the police. He says they brought a brand new police vehicle. But let me remind him that before MPP came to power, we had 3 operational vehicles that were in use. Those vehicles have since broken down, so they ought to have replaced the 3 broken down vehicles so the police can be accessible and visible. Now we can boast of only 1. The other police station he talked about in Sandema is incomplete. And the Vice President's presentation in terms of their performance and this tracking, he stated that the Sandema police station was complete and that it was a 1-story structure. That is not true. It is a 1-story structure. Only the ground floor is complete. It's not in use because it is incomplete. The police station in Chuchuluga, the March talked about police station in Chuchuluga, it's not even at foundation level. It's not even at foundation level. 2 police posts were constructed, one in Chuchuluga and the other one in Wiaga by SIC. Since 2016, they have refused to commission them for use. So all these things have gone a long way to hamper, the police's own ability to be accessible and visible. So we need to come clear on that. But having said that, Araba, I would corroborate what my good friend and brother has said, that the police have held a number of peace debates, and both of us took part in the deliberation. We all committed to peace, and we're hoping that the police will live up to expectations on election day.
Right.
But having said that, I think that we need to up our game in terms of educating people on electoral malpractices, possible crimes that can be committed on the day of election. I think at our level, the NCCE has done its part. The EC has also done its part. But we need to move beyond what is happening at our own level and begin to ask ourselves whether at the national level we are prepared to allow the security personnel to do a professional job on election day.
All right.
I have always maintained that what happened at Ayawasu West Wagon by-election, where people who were not members of any of our security agencies got dressed up in khaki uniforms and were given firearms.
All right.
And actually,
many thanks. That's James Agalga. He's MP for Bulsa North. He's the MDC's parliamentary candidate for that constituency. Earlier, you heard James Abakisi, who is the MPP's parliamentary candidate for Bulsa North as well. You're still watching Election Brief with me, Araba Kumsin, and moving to the Western region. Residents of Cape 3 Point say they will not take part in the December 7 elections because of what they describe as years of deceit over the construction of the road leading to the town. The 32-kilometer road goes through more than 15 communities. The town has long been associated with Ghana's Jubilee oil fields, producing over 100,000 barrels of oil daily, as one of the worst roads in the region. Here's a report by my colleague, Justice Bedu.
Samson Kwesen has been driving on the road to Cape 3 Point since 2010. It was the same year Ghana started producing oil in commercial quantities, and even though Ghana's oil fields are offshore, Cape 3 Point has been marked as the geographical reference point for the industry. 3 years before that, when discovery was made, the people here went to town in joy, hoping that at least oil wealth would help reconstruct their road.
As for this road, if it's not done, voting will be difficult.
At the station where drivers load to Cape 3 Point, many people say their work is slowly grinding to a halt.
Sometimes you can spend 3 days on the road because of faults coming from the bad road. We spend a lot on maintenance.
Even when our women want to, the pregnant women want to go to hospital, they have to carry them on their back. So if I is cheating.
Last year, for almost the umpteenth time, government said it was going to construct the road. Contractors came onto the road and then abandoned it in months.
We have been already cheated. Always when they come, so they will do the wood, so vote for us, they will do the big. So we have decided that this 2020 election, there, no road, no vote.
As for the road, if it is not done, we do not even want to see ballot boxes here.
As the country gets ready to vote in a few weeks, the people of Cape 3 Point are seizing the moment to speak up about their biggest need, a good road. Justice Peidu, JoyNews, Cape 3 Point.
You're still here on Election Brief with me, Arabakum. So now, as Ghana's 2020 general elections draw closer, the New Patriotic Party has intensified its campaign against the spoiled ballot. The NPP is giving special attention to first-time voters, offering training to the new wing of the party, the Free SHS Graduates Association. National Coordinator Nasiruddin Hamid says as part of their campaign activities, the first-time voters will take electorates through the election rudiments to fight the phenomenon of spoiled ballots. Nanaya Ojima throws light on how the NPP is infusing education on voting into its campaign messages.
Rejected ballots have been a worry in advancing the country's democratic process. Over 166,000 ballots were rejected in 2016 election, representing 1.45% of total votes cast. The figure is 85,000 less than what was recorded in 2012. National Coordinator Nasiruddin Hamid is confident the strategy will effectively help fight the phenomenon of spoiled ballots.
We have coordinators in other regions handling them, taking them through coaching and training. So our major task as the election approaches is that they are poised, they are ready, they are poised to vote for the president. And now Akufo-Addo has helped them, he has helped their parents. They are the first batch of students to go through the flagship Free SHS program. So they are ready and poised to vote for him. But how do they do it? They have never done it before. So our quest or our agenda is to take them through training, through orientation, to make sure that the phenomenon of spoiled ballots that characterized all our elections all these years is brought down to the barest minimum.
Meanwhile, members of the association have reiterated their commitment to propagate the NPP's campaign message. Member Augustine Kessie says the target is to get every beneficiary of the Free SHS policy vote the NPP and achieve the target to win all seats in the Ashanti region.
To my knowledge, all those that I know who I completed school with or who are in Aswansi constituency with me, they are all eager to vote for Ali Duseido and Nanado so that the good work that they have started, they will continue to make Ghana a better place for all of us.
Now, national chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Freddie Blay, says the NDC is hiding behind certain institutions to strategically level series of allegations of corruption and corrupt actions against the governing party. Addressing the media after interacting with regional and constituency executives of the Eastern Regional MPP, Mr. Blay admitted there may be issues to deal with as a government, but the impression that his government is corrupt is mere propaganda engineered by their political opponents.
I would take this opportunity that we don't want to spoil the plot. We don't want to create a problem because we're winning. And we will ask our members, through you that have gathered here, to be peaceful in their conduct of campaign from tomorrow onwards, to avoid unnecessary friction, to be confident, vigilant, yes, but not to be, what I would say is that not to be combative unnecessarily, but only to make sure that everything goes on, the process goes on peacefully. We need peace in this country. We need a peace to continue doing the good work. And therefore, I will urge also my party members, those in government, appointees and so forth, to be careful. Because just as has been announced now, some people will resort to allegation of misconduct, corruption and so forth. We should avoid last minute. We are winning. In a round, we are in a rank. You've almost reached 12 to 13 rounds. Don't go for a knockout. Stay stable. Be in a rank. Conduct yourself in such a way. I'll take this opportunity that we don't want to spoil the plot. We don't want to create a problem because we're winning. And we will ask our members, through you that have gathered here, to be peaceful in their conduct of campaign from tomorrow onwards, to avoid unnecessary friction, to be confident, vigilant, yes, but not to be.
So you heard there the NPP National Chairman, Freddie Blay, there speaking to party supporters in the Eastern region, I beg your pardon. Now, the NDC has denied knowing all but one of 200 people claiming to have defected to the NPP. The persons claiming to have defected say their decision is anchored on the evidence of good performance by the governing party. Nane Aljima of Lavafem in Ashanti region has been following the issue and filed this report.
Clad in NPP paraphernalia, these men and women say they used to be members of the opposition NDC. They claim to have defected because the NPP has performed creditably in their 4-year term compared to the NDC's 8 years in power. They cited construction of their town roads and facelift of school infrastructure among reasons for throwing their support behind the NPP.
I've been in NDC for more than 8 years. I'm working with them and I've become an executive member of them. But if you see how they always talk, it is propaganda. And Dr. Mafutu is a regular candidate. We have to vote for him 24/7.
We show you my power, Mudia, and you have been a back at us for NDC Nebra MPP. And NDC, Yatina Martina, ye who be out. Ye who be a ba MPP. Ye who send Noma and Society ba, and they say, ye roadway, and then say, ye said Juma way.
I can't hear you for you. What's you for you? You mind you school near me, SS. Because you tell me, ya, a bia, me, you may be I'm so they be also near there. This is some margin, system. Now me call NPP.
The incumbent member of parliament of Oforikum constituency, Dr. Emmanuel Mafo, is optimistic the defection will work to the advantage of the NPP in the area.
Even if they are 200, they have families and they have friends. So what they have committed themselves to go around and do the campaign so that this year, God willing, MPP will win in this Ijazongo. Right. So
Constituency Youth Organizer for the NDC, Finn Emmanuel Reagan, however, refutes the assertion the 200 are members of the NDC. He only cites one of them as an aggrieved executive in the NDC.
Those acclaimed individuals are not known in the NDC, and we don't know them. With the exception of the other guy, yes, admittedly, he was a branch youth organizer, contested and lost. He lost massively and decided to come to the constituency level. He came to the constituency and lost massively. So he thought that he would leave NDC out of the defeat in the elections. That is his wish.
In 2016, the NPP garnered 72% of votes as against the NDC's 26% in the presidential election. In the parliamentary polls, the NPP had 73% and the NDC had 25%. The NDC youth organizer is optimistic of garnering more votes in the 2020 polls.
I wish you take your cameras to where the MP resides and you see, you attest to what I'm saying. Ofolukrom Amnaga Rose was done by the NDC during Rawlings regime. That was a Banfro project. So the MPP cannot claim just ownership. Where they need roads, they should go and give it to them. I just want to go road. Alhaji Sule was started in 2015. Was started in 2015. When they came to power, they abandoned the project. It is now that we are going to vote that they have come back to the roots. Where again can you point off?
This is your election headquarters. Now, former Minister of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts under the Mahama administration and NDC parliamentary candidate for the Techima North constituency, Elizabeth Ofosu-Addo, has reaffirmed the NDC's promise to support apprentices with startups, if they win on December 7. The move, according to the former minister, is part of her grand plan of improving the livelihoods of the youth of the area if voted into office. Anas Sabit has more.
The National Democratic Congress under its People's Manifesto is promising to introduce a national apprenticeship program under which Ghanaians desirous to learn a craft will be trained for free and be provided with the necessary toolkits for the startup of their businesses after completion of their apprenticeship program. This manifesto promise, according to the parliamentary candidate for the Techima North constituency, Elizabeth Ofosu-Addo, is being implemented even before the party wins the 2020 general elections. She said this during the graduation ceremony of hairdryers within the Techima North constituency.
I'm excited to be here because in the People's Manifesto of the NDC, we indicated that when young people finish their apprenticeship with hairdressing, we are going to provide them with free dryers. This manifesto promise was supposed to start in 2021 after we have started our work. I'm happy to have launched this ahead of time. I told the people of Techima North that if I start my work as Member of Parliament for Techima North in 2021, I'm going to give every young person who graduates from hairdressing a dryer. But I've decided to do it in 2020 today.
The former Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts under the Mahama administration presented 10 dryers to the Hairdryer Association.
This is a signal to the whole Techima North, the whole Ghana, that we are very serious with our free apprenticeship program where we enroll you to learn the trade, and at the end of the day when you graduate, we give you the equipment that you need. So today, Excellency John Dramani Mahama's promise of giving a free dryer to every young person who graduates from hairdressing has been met, and mine has been met too.
But what does this mean to this group? Cynthia Nyameche tells me the support will go a long way in helping shape the future of these young girls.
Lawyer
Ofosu-Addo has helped us a lot with personal protective equipment since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. We invited her for this graduation ceremony today, and she honored the invite by donating 10 dryers to the graduates. We appreciate her support and we are so much thankful for this. Osman Adiza is one of the graduates. She tells me that the apprenticeship program has helped transform her life. She however called on young girls to enroll in apprenticeship programs and stay away from the streets.
Next level to the extent
this has taken me to the next level, and now I'm self-sufficient and my mom is so proud of me. Learning a trade is important, so I urge my colleagues to venture into apprenticeship training. Lawyer Elizabeth Ofosu-Addo asks that when voted into office, she will work towards supporting young women in the district to study law.
The plan is that every year I'll support 2 women who qualify and are willing to study law to start the studies.
this will help Tachima North also get a lot of female lawyers. It is obvious that we don't have a lot here, and I can see young people who are also intelligent but needy.
Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit.
And that's our show for this week. Remember to stay tuned in to your election headquarters for all our election-related stories and more. The Pulse comes up at 3 p.m. I'm Barbara Crimson. Have a lovely weekend.